So I am very pleased to introduce Custom Interface. 25 years in Bingen, Washington, of all places, but it's beautiful over there. And you're going to get a chance to see that here in just a minute. Nancy, you have built a legacy, I believe. And as I've gotten to know you, Custom Interface, your company, your team has really kind of gotten every type of certification possible, to meet the requirements of every industry. And you have said to me, and I've enjoyed telling other people this: if something has a button or a knob, you have a solution to connect that button or knob to where it needs to be with wiring harnesses. And you guys have many claims to fame, which I hope we're going to talk about, and we'll talk about them as we go. But you guys are making a difference, I think, in so many different industries, in so many different communities, and I think you have made a huge difference in your own community. So before we start on the tour, Nancy, is there some things you'd like us to know about you and Custom Interface?
All right. Well, Bingen is in the kind of the center of a scenic area that's straddling Oregon and Washington. So we're labeled as South Central Columbia Gorge area. We have we were one of the very first technology firms to locate here, focusing on UAS industries that have sprung up. So we have a lot of community collaboration and sharing. We do a lot of partnerships for training, just as you're seeing with the classes that are showing up here today. We kind of had to create some of that for ourselves. But because we build a lot of drone product, we thought it would be fun to do a video that would showcase how a drone could be used to bring a lot of focus to the things that we feel are super important about our company. As Kirk mentioned, we've really gone after being not the cheapest solution, but the highest quality, which we believe brings highest value. And so rather than trying to be a little of something to everybody, having different quality standards depending on what industry you're building for, we've found that we can bring to the highest quality to everything that we build. And we believe that's part of our success formula. So we're super excited to show you more about Custom Interface. David is going to be in the video showcasing a lot of the operational and the process-based kind of structure that he's embedded in the way we do our business. And it's really, we believe, a formula for success. So we welcome you to Custom Interface, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Very good. Should we go ahead with the virtual tour part?
Hello and welcome to Custom Interface. My name is David White. I am the president and COO here. We were founded about 24 years ago by our CEO, Nancy White, in 1997. We specialize in aerospace and defense markets. We are dual certified in both AS 9100 as well as ISO 9001, and we are HubZone and ITAR registered. Currently, as I said, we specialize in aerospace and defense markets, but we're wanting to expand further into marine markets, since we already build cables that are rated for marine use, as well as electric aircraft, because we believe that that is the future of transportation, as well as further into space. Let's go ahead and take a look at our production floor. This is our main production floor. Here, we manufacture wiring harnesses and perform electromechanical integration for both military and civilian applications. We build products that are installed in many manned and unmanned aerospace platforms. We have decades of experience working with customers to solve complex wiring issues in some of the world's harshest environments. This has given us the experience needed to develop the best practices for building a robust product. We also build and provide services for a variety of other industries, including automotive and off-road, renewable energy, rocketry, and entertainment. But before production can begin, a sale must be made, so let's talk about sales in a little further detail with one of our reps, Michael.
Customers keep coming back to Custom Interface because we're attentive, flexible, and easy to work with. We pride ourselves on our ability to find creative solutions for our clientele's complex problems. We maintain a strong on-time delivery and customer-reported quality level that make us the first choice for many aerospace and defense companies. Our first customer from 1997 is still with us today, and most of our largest customers have been with us for over 15 years. Upon receipt of a new purchase order from a client, we first perform a contract review to ensure the PO meets the requirements stipulated on the quote provided for a particular assembly, and then perform a risk mitigation analysis to see if there are any factors that may jeopardize our ability to meet the key contractual points of the purchase order. Provided the PO passes these first two hurdles, we then enter the PO into our system, thus creating sales orders and work orders that will drive both material and labor demand in our MRP system.
Custom Interface's main building is 45,000 square feet, which, as you can see, is mostly dedicated to production and integration. The very beginning of our process begins when a customer places an order with us. The order is entered into our custom-built MRP system, which will generate demand for both parts and labor and provides traceability from this stage onward. Let's talk about labor capacity and scheduling, which is controlled by our production scheduler, Miguel. Hey, Miguel. Do you mind telling us a little bit about how you schedule production and how you balance our capacity with demand?
Sure. The way I schedule production and balance capacity and demand is when an order is entered into our system, I have spreadsheets that pull data straight out of our MRP system, and those spreadsheets then take the quantity of work orders due in a given day, week, or month, and convert that into hours as well. And so I have a set number for available capacity, and I graph that. So I'm able to see peaks and valleys in our scheduling and long-term planning, which then I work with the production supervisor and manager to balance out the demand and capacity. Okay. Sometimes we have unforeseen challenges or last-minute requests from customers. Do you mind telling us a little bit about how we deal with those last-minute requests or issues that come up? So any last-minute requests that we get up, we tend to build a little bit of a buffer in our production schedules. So typically we're able to accommodate almost any kind of last-minute rush order that we get from a customer.
Once all of our parts have been ordered and then received into our inventory, the actual process of building the product can begin. The first stage of production begins in our material control area. So let's go ahead and begin our production tour there, and we will follow the same path that our products do as they're flowed through production. Over here is the entrance to our material control area, or kitting. Our production supervisor, Annabelle, leads the material control team, and we'll be giving you a brief on how we begin and conclude our kitting process.
Hi, my name is Annabelle, and I'm the production supervisor here at Custom Interface. I am responsible for assigning the work on the floor to the technicians best suited. And I regulate the flow of the work from receiving and inventory control all the way through the final quality. Part of my job duties is to monitor the current status of the work on the floor, ensuring that the work is being built to the required standards and specifications, as well as monitoring the quality of the work and providing support and feedback to the technicians to ensure that we are meeting the expectations of our customers. I also constantly look for opportunities to improve our processes and provide training to set up our production technicians to success. This is our receiving area. The parts that just came in, The material control specialist will verify the part numbers, verify the quantity of and also the quality of the components. And then she will enter that in our system. The parts that are identified as non-conforming, she will move that to the NCM cage. And the parts that require for incoming inspection by QC, then she will move it to the quality control area. These are our inventory shelves. All the parts that will be received in the system are placed in this area until they are required in a work order. Over here, our kitting specialist will print a work order, prepare a work order kit, and all the parts she pulled out from our inventory, it will be tracked here in our system for traceability that we can provide back to our vendor. If all the components are kitted to a work order, the work order kit will be placed here for the wire cutting. We have a technician that cut the wires here, and then if all the wires are cut, the work order kit will be moved in this area for machine stripping. So if all the wires are already stripped, if it requires for automated machine crimps, then it will be moved in this area. So these are all our automated machines. At this point, when kitting is done, I load the work order in our system to determine whether it is for production build or first article. If it's for production build, I used our costing report to determine who is the most efficient technicians that I'm going to assign it to. And if it is for first article, then I'll move it to the first article location.
For our first article and prototyping process, the first step is to review the drawing for manufacturability and errors. We communicate those issues with the customer, recommend design improvements for both manufacturability and functionality. Once these issues are resolved, we create our own internal work instructions while building the prototype. This allows us to recreate the assemblies based off of the instructions rather than from the drawing every time, which improves manufacturability. When doing so, we also create AS9102 fair documentation. This verifies that all materials have COCs, that testing requirements are met, and that the drawing matches the design. Once this is complete, we send the prototype assembly along with the fair documentation to the customer for their review. Once that review is complete and approved, we pass the assemblies along for production.
This is our rapid prototyping area where first articles are built and documented. This is our inventory control area where we stock commonly used parts and wires for reduced lead times, and this is also where we cut, strip, and crimp wires that will be kitted to a job. Here you can see some of our production processes, including crimping, heat shrink recovery, servo prepping, soldering, and lacing wire bundles. These are our wire layout boards, which we use to build harnesses that will be installed, such as in an aircraft. Our quality control team performs various inspections and check that dimensional requirements are being met. Once the job is past final quality control, each component is individually bagged and labeled for traceability. Here's some more examples of the various products that we build, as well as some of the integration services we perform. Let's meet with Josh, our quality lead, who will tell us a little bit about our quality management system.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I am the head of quality at Custom Interface. My primary responsibility is to oversee the quality team, our quality management system, ITAR program, and ensure that no non-conforming products leave our facility. I also oversee our AS9100 ISO 9001 compliance program, and am the quality rep for external audits, along with coordinating our internal quality system audits. Our quality-oriented company culture has allowed us to maintain a defect rate below 0.5% and achieve zero nonconformances during our 2020 AS9100 audit. We take a lot of pride in our ability to meet and exceed the quality requirements of our customers and are always looking for opportunities to improve our processes. Let's get out onto the floor and take a look at some of those processes and equipment that the quality team utilizes on a daily basis. This is one of our cable testers. We use this one to test our largest cables. They can test up to 3,000 points, and we can test for continuity, isolation, dielectric withstanding voltage, and insulation resistance. After the test is complete, we can pull up the results here via the screen, and we can diagnose any shorts, missed wires, or anything to do with the insulation or shielding. This is another one of our cable testing units. Much like the tester I just showed you, we can test for continuity, isolation, dielectric withstanding voltage, and insulation resistance. Now, this tester is a smaller unit, and we use it for the bulk of our manufacturing we do here at CII. This is our radio frequency tester. This machine allows us to test insertion loss, voltage standing wave ratio, and our RF coaxial cables. It can test up to 3 gigahertz.
Hi. I'm Jeff Lemley, and I'm the Director of Sales and Business Development here at Custom Interface. What I'd like to talk with you about today is our Quantum Rapid Prototyping service. This is a service whereby we can produce an engineering sample or working prototype of either wire harnesses or electromechanical assemblies for our customers, quite often in less than a week if materials are readily available. These prototypes are built to the same stringent quality standards as our regular AS9100 assemblies, but without the added time and expense of going through the formality of an AS9102 fair process. This provides our customers with a quick and easy means by which to proof the concept of their design, as well as gain the benefits of our insights on improving the assembly before they lock down that design. We can take your idea from any stage, whether it's a photo, a napkin drawing, or a basic concept, and turn it into a working prototype. Our aerospace and defense customers love this value-added service as it saves them time and money and helps to improve their product. And we are happy to offer that service to our non-aerospace customers as well.
So, we've followed the same path that our products have, from kitting to production to quality. And from there, they're simply packaged up and sent to our customers. But there's one more thing that I would like to talk about that's key to the success of production, and that is our cultural approach to quality. We found as a company that we can't inspect quality into our products. We have to build them into our products. But what does that really mean? It means that we're continually looking for opportunities to improve the processes that happen before, after, and between each quality check. We are looking at the work that's been scheduled ahead to see if there's any opportunities to improve our efficiency or perhaps our build practices. We evaluate quality data to see if there's troublesome processes or perhaps training opportunities. And we also empower our employees by providing them with the information, feedback, and support that they need to succeed. This is really important. Empowering employees with the right information is critical to their success and therefore critical to our success as a company. A couple years ago, we only had 2 KPIs that we were looking at a continual basis in production, and we struggled to hit both. So I started revising how we looked at KPIs, what kind of information would be relevant to employees, so that we could show them what success even looked like. Once we introduced these new metrics, these new KPIs to our employees and educated them on what they meant, listened to their feedback, and supported them where necessary, we noticed a continual steady increase in performance of operations overall. This new information was psychologically powerful. It allowed employees to make the best decisions possible in the moment and to also have the confidence to raise their hands and say when they needed help. We continue these efforts today, and over time we've seen a 70% increase in efficiency. We're maintaining 99% on-time delivery and quality. We're saving $100,000 a year annually in waste, and we've also reduced our lead time by 5-fold and now have one of the best lead times in the industry. So obviously our employees are the main reason why we've seen so much success in these really difficult times. I'm going to hand off to Kirsten, our Human Resources Manager, who will go over in further detail about how we support our employees.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Dennis, and I am the Director of Human Resources here at Custom Interface. Custom Interface is a great place to work. We truly value and invest in our employees. We have a diverse workforce with people from many different backgrounds and life experiences. We offer great benefits, a 4-day work week that employees love, and a variety of internal training and development opportunities. When we hire new production employees, they start by attending a 2-week Introduction to Production training class with our own internal trainer. Over the course of this first 2 weeks, they learn about CII safety and quality policies and procedures, ESD controls, and the basics of cable assembly, which includes how to interpret drawings and build electronic assemblies to IPC standards. After this 2 weeks, they're partnered with an experienced mentor on the production floor, and they practice their skills for another month with that person. Within a year of employment, all of our production employees attain IPC certification for building and inspecting electronic assemblies. We have our own in-house certified trainer who administers this instruction and testing and recertifies employees every 3 years. We've been really fortunate here at CII to partner with our local Workforce Development Council and economic agencies and local community college to provide a variety of professional development opportunities for all of our employees right here at our facility. We've been able to train and develop our employees in supervisory skills, effective communication, root cause analysis, change management, and project management. We're very proud of the team that we built here at Custom Interface, and we are ready to meet our customers' manufacturing needs.
Hi, I'm Nancy White. Most buyers I've spoken to claim that wiring harnesses give them more grief than any other commodity that they purchase. Why is the deck stacked? Well, first of all, when an engineer is designing a new product, he has to figure out the power supply, the circuit boards have to be configured, the enclosure designed so it allows all the functionalities, and the wiring harnesses come last. Last usually means late. The other idiosyncrasy that kind of makes this more challenging is when I was going to school, I learned that electrical engineers get no training whatsoever in wiring harnesses, even though every piece of equipment's got a wire in it somewhere. So Custom Interface sees those challenges as opportunities, and we've designed our services to try and mitigate the risks. First, within days of receiving an RFP, we will identify to the buyer if we see any issues with the design. The second thing that we do is we go out and we look for opportunities to reduce the cost and the lead time with other methods of building or equivalents. The third thing that we've done is we've designed a rapid prototyping line that allows us to put a sample in an engineer's hands within a matter of days of receiving the material. To build long-term relationships, we try really hard to say yes. We try to make it simple, and we keep our commitments. And these are the reasons that I think we're going to celebrate 25 years of success in a few months. Thanks so much for coming to find out more about custom interface.
Thank you for joining us for this tour of Custom Interface. We're thankful for the opportunity to show you a little bit of what we can do, and I hope that we can work together in the near future. If you have any questions about us or the services we can provide, please reach out to us through our website or telephone. Thank you, goodbye, and it's been fun.
Well, that was a great tour. So I want to thank the custom interface team for that. So, all right. Well, this is an opportunity to ask questions, and you can put those in the chat, or you could come off of mute and go ahead and ask those questions.
Do you do any fiber optic cable work, or is it all wire?
At this point, we're doing wire, plus integration between installing electronics in various enclosures.
You mentioned something about over 1 million hours of unmanned flights with no problems with your equipment.
Sure. We, as mentioned in the video, we strive to really maintain a really high quality rating. In the aerospace industry, 99 to 100% quality within your own facility, that's not anything escaping out of your facility, is target. If you have 98% quality, most companies that build airplanes or things of that nature aren't going to do business with you, because that's putting people down the line at risk. So we have probably well over 1 million man hours of unmanned flight using the products that we build, and I don't know, we have thousands of hours of flight time on even manned products, because we build things for Boeing, Airbus, as well as some of the other smaller manufacturers as well.
So kind of our niche, Kirk, is to build for companies who have zero tolerance for field failure.
Yeah.
We're probably the cheapest manufacturer out there, but if you want to put a person's life on the line and to be depending on products that we build, we're not at risk adverse of taking that on, because we've got the history to say we know we can do it.
That must put a sense of purpose into everything that you do. I think that's pretty amazing purpose behind what you do. There's been a lot of great questions. I'm going to just ask these questions, but does Custom Interface build their own circuit boards for projects? How do you deal with circuit boards?
We outsource those. We have some partners that we work with on a routine basis, but quite frequently our clients will say that, we want you to buy this circuit board from that facility. And we always honor that direction.
Well,
We're located really close to the Beaverton, Hillsborough area near Portland. And everyone's heard the term Silicon Valley. Well, there's another area in Portland, the same area I just mentioned, it's called Silicon Valley. And it's where Intel's located, a lot of other companies making semiconductor components as well as circuit boards. So instead of us within our own facility trying to buy that kind of equipment, which is a really expensive investment, it made a lot more sense to partner with companies that we had already done business with to collaboratively, work together to build a product.
Okay, that's very cool. Priscilla asked, let's see, I'm not sure if that was Priscilla. I think so, but in order to be a mentor for new hires, do you have any specific qualifications or trainings needed for somebody to be in that place? You mentioned something about an in-house certification.
So our onboarding, our training program, the mentors that we select to kind of oversee the new hires are typically people that have been here for a really long time, or have demonstrated through their metrics that they're able to show successful techniques to whoever we're hiring and onboarding.
we have a really long lead time for being able to bring in a prospective employee through the front door and to get them sitting down, just building the most basic products takes 2 months. To get to true competency takes anywhere from 16 to 18 months. And we invest about $10,000 to $20,000 into each individual person that we train, just to be able to get them up to speed. We found that there really isn't anyone out there that has the skill set right out of the box to do exactly what we do, because we don't build any, 1, 2 singular products or anything like that, or even a few dozen. We literally build thousands of products. Some of them have, dozens of iterations within a single product line. And so we have to have people, or we have to teach people this really broad range of different products and different aspects of them in order for them to be successful. And on top of all of that, because we're involved in the aerospace industry where lives are dependent on it, there's a lot of additional standards that have to be memorized. For example, the Boeing standard, the Boeing wiring standards is about 7,000 pages long. We actually have a couple of first article technicians, the guys that build our prototypes, that just about have that memorized. It takes a really long time to gain all of this.
Well, and that was Dee Tren who asked that question. So thank you, Dee, for the question. And Priscilla was asking, and it goes right along with what you just said, David, does an applicant need to have electrical or manufacturing background to apply? Or is all of that training supplied by you?
It's ideal. It's great. My background, I was a diesel mechanic. I specialized in, working on combines, and specifically the electrical, the electrical components on them. And that's where my basis came in. But once I came here, I realized I still didn't know anything. So we don't necessarily say that anybody has to have a background in electronics. It's great if they do. If they understand voltages, DC versus AC, those basic things. That's a great framework for us to build from. But what we really look for is the correct kind of person that is going to succeed here. And I would say we select more based on their personality, their ability to take on challenging work, their willingness to say yes, things of that nature. And then if we find a person that meets those ideal criteria, we're more than happy to train them and invest in it. It really hurts us a lot whenever, we invest training into somebody and they just end up not liking the line of work. Well, anybody can walk in and out of our facility at any time, but if somebody leaves after completing training, that's $20,000 that just walked out the door. So we do everything that we can to ensure that we're selecting the right person in terms of skill set and their psychology, I guess.
Oh, that's wonderful. No, I really appreciate that. Matt asked the question, you guys have probably seen a little bit of change in the last 25 years, right? Or has anything changed in 25 years?
We've been trying not to become a dinosaur for 25 years, right? So when I first started this business, we were primarily building product for what I would call more commercial usage. And our typical customer would get to a certain stage, and once they needed 10,000 of something, they go offshore. And so we ended up migrating our skill set toward being able to deliver products for aerospace, because the quality of offshore was kind of questionable at that time. Well, over the years, instead of needing 10,000 pieces of something for China or Mexico or Ireland to talk to you, that number is now down to about 500. So the challenge for us has been to be just a little ahead of what's available offshore, which means good lead times, good technical support, and quality that's unsurpassed. And that seems to be the formula that's allowing us to continue to grow and expand, even with all of the offshore competition. Wow. But I'd say all of the challenges, Kirk, that's been the one that's kept us, sharpening the pencil the most quickly.
Yeah, that being globally competitive is such an important thing to us now. What do you guys see any technology, I don't know, changing in your industry or changes over the next 10 years or so that will affect your company? Do you see any trends happening?
So one of the things that mentioned in the video was the electric aircraft. Right now, electric aircraft is becoming a thing. There's actually several companies within Washington that are trying to develop short to intermediate range transport craft. Currently, we only have the battery technology, and we globally is what I mean, to build short to intermediate range craft, because there has to be a compromise between available power and weight, and we don't have the perfect formula for that yet. But probably between 2030 to 2050, you're going to start seeing intermediate to long range passenger aircraft begin to enter into the market. And so that's one area technologically that we see changing that we're really wanting to get involved with. A second area is we're seeing a whole lot of undersea drones being developed. Swarm technologies sending out, instead of having, for example, one drone trying to map the floor, that's huge, with all this equipment and everything to perform all these measurements, they might send out 200 drones, each with individual subsets of equipment that are specialized in doing little things, and they can cover a much broader area at a much lower cost. The military is also exploring applications like this. Does it make sense to have a multi-billion-dollar single destroyer sitting out there, or does it make a lot more sense to have maybe one mothership that sends out 20 different smaller unmanned sea craft? Lastly, a new area that I'm really interested in, and I'm curious to see how this technology develops, is there's some colleges out there that are working on essentially bridging the gap between copper conductors or metal conductors, ordinary wire and cable, and fiber optics, which was asked earlier. They're coming up with plastic polymers that can transmit electricity, which would be really interesting, saving in weight, et cetera, all of those kinds of things. So those are three areas that we're kind of wanting to expand into.
Wow. Oh man, that was great. So, I have to admit that we have very smart people watching this, and this is a very interesting question from David. Thank you, David. So you showed a wire cutting machine at the time. You were showing it only cut wire, but do you have machines? They called it like the U-Banks that cuts and strips wires at the same time?
The equipment that we showed you is also capable of doing stripping at the same time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if over time your equipment suppliers come to you and say, we have these new things that will do these new things.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, we absolutely do. There are occasions where maybe the type of insulation is tricky to get a good strip, or you saw a lot of multi-conductor cables where, you've got an insulation jacketing, a large group of cables. Obviously, those can't be cut on the machine. So the stripping equipment that you see gets utilized in those situations a lot.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So Nick asked, the software that they develop for these drone platforms, from your experience, are those developed before or after the hardware is sold? Because I'm guessing that the software for these drones are actually not part of what you do, but your wires probably transfer.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. What we do see across the industry, obviously we don't develop software here, but in general, the software has been developed by a lot of subcontractors. There's a lot of existing software out there for autopilots that are also adjusted to work with VTOL takeoffs. Those are much more interesting for the quadcopter takeoff and transition into forward flight. So you see a lot of companies out there that are developing those capabilities and that software and the components that a lot of these larger, at the higher assembly level, these drone manufacturers are going to those companies and buying that software and that capability from those companies and integrating it into their final assemblies. So overall, I would say that in most cases, you see the software being developed prior to the hardware.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, thank you. Jamila asked the question, is there a certain level of education that you prefer before, before you hire somebody? Are you going to hire somebody, with high school, or do you want them to have some college? What's been your experience in terms of education level?
So as I said earlier, education level it's ideal. We want to look for somebody that has a high school degree, but some of our best employees have actually been kids that just came right out of high school, and they came in through the front door. They have the best attitude, or an ideal attitude, and they're willing to learn. That's really key, is the willingness to learn new processes and being okay with that kind of change. We don't really have like a set level of education. We've hired people here, consultants that have cost $300,000 a year. And we found that they're not able to, find even some of the most common sense, easy fixes. And those have been identified by, again, high school kids, because they just applied common sense to the situation. So it really depends on the mentality of the person. I don't really have a minimum education level. It's really based on, hey, how's this person going to fit in with the organization? Are they the right type to, really succeed? What really catches our interest is, in terms of education or experience, is when people have had exposure to a process-based approach to manufacturing. That is, they've worked within the ISO 9001 manufacturing standard. They have familiarity with those kinds of things. They have familiarity with root cause analysis. Those kinds of things tell us that, hey, this person has the basic framework and the basic experience that we can easily fill in with essentially technical data, but they need to succeed here specifically.
Well, that's great. Monique asked a very similar question about the age range of employees that you've hired recently. Do you find, I don't know, from your experiences, there a certain age range that, I heard you say people right out of high school, but is there an age range that you found fit in there?
We're all over the place. Again, we have people right out of high school. We have people that have actually, in recent years, retired here, that have worked here for 20 plus years. It's really dependent on the individual person. There's no particular age range that we target.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And what about, Stephen asked, I appreciate this question, Stephen. Do you have something that's fully automated, like people don't have to get involved? You have like a fully automated process, or is there always some level of manual process involved?
Most of the offshore manufacturers have got the volume that justifies highly specialized automation. Our niche in the market, so it isn't to say that doesn't exist, but our niche in the market is more to provide services that I would classify as craftsmen. So there is a lot of hand labor content. We have got have had some equipment that would automate, cutting, stripping, labeling, tinning, and we just eventually sold it because it served a purpose for a particular client who then went overseas. And so what we're finding now, that folks that are knocking at our door are more interested in the smaller, we call it a high mix, low volume with a lot of craftsmanship.
Wow. I love that type of manufacturing. Because you end up doing a lot more short runs, and automation plays a lot more to these long runs, when you're doing 10,000, 20,000 parts or 100,000 parts, but what you guys end up doing is this rapid prototyping. And Stephen also asked, do you guys have somebody who does R&D to keep ahead of emerging technology or things that are happening, like you talked about, David? Or is that David that does?
I just kind of geek out on a lot of that stuff. Checking out the business science sections of news websites and things like that. A lot of our customers are already there. They're already in the emerging technology fields. Now, some of it can be really advanced as far as like potential DARPA projects. Some of it can just be, hey, this is a cool new type of battery that we're working on. An area probably 10 years ago that we started really being involved in was solar panels for trailers, travel trailers, and things like that. So a lot of the new technology or new developments are actually being introduced to us by our customers, because that's what our customers are trying to do, is stay the competition. As far as our internal tools, we have contacts with a lot of tooling reps and vendors and stuff like that, and they typically let us know, they advertise to us that, hey, we have this cool new shiny thing that we would like you to try. So sometimes we take advantage of that.
That's wonderful. Stephen also asked about, are you guys utilizing any formal lean practices or concepts, or doing a formal lean program with your employees?
Stephen, that's a simple question with a really complex answer, and it's partial. I went through the Toyota Kata program, which means the Toyota mentality, their approach to manufacturing, which is very focused on lean, very focused on the plan, do, check, act cycle. And I learned a lot from those processes. And so, I learned a lot from those courses. And we applied some of what we were able to use to some of our select processes, but our product range is so wide and so diverse, and we do such short runs that it's really difficult to set up a streamlined production line. If we were running in lots of, say 100, 200, 500, 10,000, it would make a lot of sense to set up essentially a streamlined production line. We're typically running in lots of 5 to 50. And what we found is essentially that doesn't really set us up to be a successful streamlined production line. We aim to be more of a flexible production line, as in we're able to nimbly change tasks or change priorities very quickly based on the work that's being given to us. Part of contract manufacturing is that a lot of the time you don't have, you're not building a single thing for years. We are building so that one of our clients can install a camera system into a helicopter or a destroyer, or a series of them. And so we'll build for that specific contract. And we might not have years of advance notice. A lot of times orders are being placed with us within a lead time of anywhere from 4 weeks to about 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, David, your explanation makes a lot of sense, and I think it's some of the complexity of short run manufacturing, custom, craftsman type manufacturing that your field requires. And yet, I think we're seeing this theme of quality and innovation and continuous improvement play out, by what we've seen. There are some more questions, and I'm going to continue the questions after we stop the recording. But I wanted to, for those who are watching the recording, those who have participated with us, I want to thank everybody for being here. And I want to thank Custom Interface, because you have been deeply involved in camps. I want to thank you guys for being involved in our innovation committee. You guys are thinking about the future. You're thinking about how to make manufacturing better for everybody. We love the fact that you're such a great community player, and we want to thank you for that. Nancy and David and Jeff, I want to give you guys the last word here before we stop the recording.
Nancy, I'll let you.
Oh, right. Well, as I said, we're about to celebrate 25 years, and it's been a kind of like everybody's life. We all got a lesson in this last year on, to come out smiling after 2020, you had to be really willing to adapt to whatever challenge showed up. And I think having a culture where we can honestly talk about what's at the table and what's at stake has allowed us to continue to thrive and survive through all of the different iterations of what you see manufacturing going through. We just signed up a client the other day who's printing rocket ships, right? So, I couldn't even have imagined that possibility 24 years ago. The technology didn't exist, but here we are and we're in the game. And I think the only reason is because we've been willing to look at reality in the face and go, this is what we got to do to be able to continue to be attractive. I think I said it in the little video, saying yes to clients, being attractive for them to want to do business for us is key. And that drives all the way down to everyone in this facility. If anybody here could bring us to our knees, if they tried to hide something or didn't talk about something that was a problem. So we're all in the boat, we're all in together in the same direction. And that makes it fun for me. That's what gets me up in the morning. So, but I hope that you got a flavor of that through the tour and the way we've answered your questions.
Yeah, Nancy, I want to just thank you so much for being a member of CAMPS and for your contributions to our community. And I think this video is going to be inspiring to so many people, talking about how you've adapted, but talking about the dedication to quality. I think there's a lot of great lessons learned here for everybody, and what a quality experience this has been. So I want to thank all of you.